we come to study 10 people are sitting here or 9. Or 11 they all look, why did they come? Have a little bit of a desire. Say they have 10 grams of desire, how can 10 grams each, why did they come attain spirituality? I have a little bit of a desire, it is said that there was this healer, they have power remedy say. If there are 10 people they have 11 5, 10, desire, 12, and everyone connects into one unit, then each one is incorporated with everyone. It follows that according to the adhesion of the society, so each and everyone receives a desire from their other. Likewise, a bad society also acts for the worse and also acts for the better. Accordingly, when we gather, each and everyone should think, what do I want from this gathering? What have I come for? Either it has some goal, or I'm content with this without a goal, which is also good. Good morning world, really good morning. A sash wrought, a sash tells us we are age 10. We've gathered here, each one with his few grams of desire, and he assembled us here from abroad, from Israel, from the center, from the south, into 110, which want to convey a message of incorporation and unity, and concerning the absorption of love of the friends, the desire to reach real connection, emotional connection. This is why we're here all together, to get ready for the lesson. May we all incorporate together, yes, so let's absorb the yearning of each and every one and enter into it together. Friends, it is impossible to observe commandments except through a mutual responsibility, when each one becomes responsible for his friend, since the essence of observing the Torah, which is the desire, is through unity. Therefore, anyone who wants to take upon himself the burden of Torah and MIT, which is mainly through the intensification of the desire, should be included in the whole of Israel with great unity. It follows that precisely through the AL, when all are regarded as one, precisely by this they can observe the Torah, since the essence of love and unity is in the desire. When each one is pleased with his friend, there is no disparity of desire between them, and they are all included in one desire. By this they are incorporated in the upper desire, which is the end goal of the unity. Again, from it is impossible to observe T and MIT commandments except through of mutual responsibility, when each one becomes responsible for his friend, since the essence of observing the Torah, which is the desire, is through unity. Therefore, anyone who wants to take upon himself the burden of Torah and MIT, which is mainly through the intensification of their desire, should be included in the whole of Israel with great unity. It follows that precisely through the when all are regarded as one, precisely by this they can observe the Torah, since the essence of love and unity is in the desire. When each one is pleased with his friend, there is no disparity of desire between them, and they are all included in one desire. By this they are incorporated in the upper desire, which is the end goal of their unity. Active workshop question: let's share with each other what the purpose of unity in the 10 is. Again, let's share with each other what the purpose of unity in the 10 is. The purpose of unity in the 10 is to bring us to equivalence of form with the Creator. He is one, and we too should be one, as we just read it happens when we come to observe two, and before that we have to be in our V when we're all incorporated in one desire, and therefore to begin with we have to aim for how we come into one desire together. The epitome of unity in the 10 is something very special. The 10 works to discover the Creator's attitude within it, that attitude, that relation of love which each and every person in the world is looking for, and the 10 discovers it in the Creator himself. Right, and this is exactly how the purpose of the unity is revealed to us. At the Creator placed me and each of us in the group, and shows us all of our qualities in a developing way. So we get importance to ask the Creator to justify the Creator, to strengthen each other toward the goal. The purpose of the unity in the 10 is to Achieve unity of desires, yearnings, where the whole 10 becomes a single conduit. For there's none else besides him. Through our unity, we're incorporated in the unity of the Creator through equivalence of form between us to be like ball, like the quality of ball. Yes, unity in the 10, that means that we build a single vessel, a single CLE. 1. Lack, we ask the Creator for strength, and as we heard in the excerpt, this is done to a mutual guarantee between us where we help each other alike for one single call, right, revealing the unity between us, equivalence or form with the Creator, all of his qualities relation to us. Dear right, the purpose of unity in the 10 is to reveal, to discover that we are under one manager, one boss, maybe, which is the Creator, and I will add that the purpose of the 10 is to be a vessel in the hands of the Creator to bring all of humanity to him. Yes, the purpose of the 10 is to achieve unity, and the unity between us brings us to observing the Creator's will, to fulfilling the Creator's will, to do good to his creations. Through our unity we realize his will, and we're capable of making his name famous in the world so that everyone reaches unity. The purpose of unity is to direct us to the upper desire to the Creator, and I will add the unity in the 10 brings me to understanding and feeling how much love there is in the world, how much each one loves me and I love everyone, and from that place where we feel a lack of equivalence, we feel where we need to soften in our hearts with respect to the state of unity, which is the desired state, and we feel dependent on each other, and here that's how the mutual guarantee between us, the between us manifests. I also add that the Creator stands behind every friend, and his desire is to bestow contentment. The purpose of unity in the 10 is to be as one man with one heart in equivalence of form with a degree called Creator, the entrance, the gate by which to enter our vessel, which the light of where enters. Well, all the friends in our 10, all the others will receive the light of light of more that comes to us from the Creator. So we ask the Creator now, we have a chance during the lesson that he will make of us into one vessel, one man, one heart. Once I have acquired this above mentioned clothing, sparks of love promptly begin to shine within me. The heart begins to long to unite with my friends, and it seems to me that my eyes see my friends, my ears hear their voices, have AC to them, the hands embrace, the feet dance in a circle in love and joy together with them, and I transcend my corporeal boundaries. I forget the vast distance between my friends and I, and the outstretched land for many miles will not stand between us. It is as though my friends are standing right within my heart and see all that is happening there, and I become ashamed of my petty acts against my friends. Then I simply exit the corporeal vessels, and it seems to me that there is no reality in the world except my friends and I. After that, even the I is cancelled and is immersed, mingled in my friends, until I stand and declare that there is no reality in the world, only the friends. Yes, we felt one another, enter connection in one heart, and feel the Creator. The silent workshop, let's enter connection in one heart, and feel the Creator there. Ver. Shalom. We are reading in the writings of Rash Letter number 36. You can find the study material on your VOT, and in the site you can ask questions. They're here in the hall. Anyone who wants to ask a question should stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth, and speak loudly and clearly. The writings of Rash Letter number 36 of October 9, 1957, Manchester, England, to the friends in the Holy Land. May they live forever. This week I received 2 letters from, and regarding his question I will answer privately. In general, our sages said anyone who is ID with a eulogy of a sage should be buried in his life. We should ask, why does he deserve such a harsh punishment? We should know that idleness always stems from absence of deficiency. Only there is idleness, but where there is a deficiency, there are always movements in order to see advice how to satisfy the lack. This is why specifically one who does not feel any lack in the departure of the sage, it is apparent in the eulogy of the sage when he is idle in the eulogy of the sage. The question is, why does he not feel the lack in the departure of the sage? It must be said that during the sage's life he also did not receive anything from the sage, so he does not feel any lack upon the sage's departure. This is why he should be buried in his life, meaning during the sage's life. It is not necessarily now that he is not all right as he's idle in his eulogy, rather back then he already was not all right. This is why buried in his life means during the life of the sage. However, there is a cure to all this. Conversely, one who degrades a wise disciple, there is no cure to his plight. In other words, if he does not settle for being idle with eulogy of a sage, but says that he is standing on the same degree with the sage in connection, there is no greater degradation to a wise disciple than this, and our sages said there is no cure to his plight. Instead, he keeps falling lower and lower until he shows to everyone his true form, meaning that his toe becomes to him a potion of death. My general answer is that the festival of Sukkot explains all the questions, even the hardest and worst, for it is known that is the shadow of faith, and with respect to the judgment, its shade must be bigger than its sun. It is also known that the sun implies knowing and the moon implies faith. It is, as our sages said, Israel count by the moon and the nations of the world count by the sun. That is, each time we see the sun, and that it is more than the shade, we must cover more, so that the shade will be more than the sun. And if one is rewarded and does not add shade on his own, there is mercy on him from above, and the sun is covered for him. But then a person becomes angry because he understands otherwise, according to the person's reason. If he has sun, he wishes to have more sun, but my thoughts are not your thoughts, and he is given more shade. And if a person overcomes the shade, he is given a sun, and then he must add shade. If he does not add, he's given shade from above, and so forth until he is rewarded with eternal adhesion. However, we must exert excessively to receive the shade, and say it is a holy shade, that all this shade came from above and not from that it was given, so he would be able to assume faith at that time. It is called shadow of faith, and it is holy, as in the ways of the Lord are straight, the righteous walk in them, and the wicked, etc. This is the meaning of making the thatch from the waste of ban and winery. Bassam explained that gon ban comes from their words I am a foreigner, and winery from their words mentioning the name of the Lord to interpret the words of B. The thatch is the shadow of faith, called faith above reason. This is opposite to reason, for reason brings him into waste to ban, and to winery, that is from the perspective of reason, the way the corporeal eyes see it. There's room for waste of ban and winery. From this in itself he makes shadow and sits under it, that is, he makes for himself a seat out of all those lowest and worst things, and through the waste observes the mitzvah commandment of sukkah. Most importantly, it derives joy from this mitzvah, because faith above reason is called joy of mitzvah. It follows that all the quandaries and questions that exist in reality are corrected in the sukkah, for without them it is impossible to make a that, and one must be a good guest in this regard, and say all that the landlord has done he has done only for me. That is, one must say with the mouth that everything that is happening in the world, that there are people who suffer and are mistreated, is only so that I can receive the good, meaning to keep faith even though I see the bad in people. It is in order to be able to assume the burden of the kingdom of heaven. Moreover, it is to say that others will suffer pain only so I can receive. In truth, it is hard to say this, but if a person works specifically in order to bestow contentment upon his Maker, then he himself is completely inconsequential. Instead, everything is only for the Creator at that time. If the person does not stand in the middle, then everyone can say that when he says a landlord has troubled himself only for me, meaning so I could continue with the work of faith is only for the Creator and not for himself. When a person is concerned with pleasures, it is difficult to deceive oneself and say that the whole world was created only for him, but when a person is concerned with the sake of the Creator, it is not so difficult to believe, since the self is completely inconsequential. It follows from all the above that the thatch called shade is made specifically from the waste of ban and winery. This is the meaning of what we say in the prayer inside the sukkah, and to take refuge from rain and torrent. It means that faith saves a person from all the harm doers, since harm doers are alien thoughts and alien views, and faith is built specifically on waste. Only in this way is there refuge from rain and torrent, otherwise one follows the trends of their world. The torrent is something that sustains a person, sustains the earth, since people are nourished only by reason, and the only reason sustains them. Where reason does not reach, they cannot hold out, and this reason keeps these people still. But one who wishes to be as the vegetative must not accept this reason as support, since that torrent is unsuitable for one who wishes to walk on the path of truth. And if a person fails and take support from that reason, he will immediately suffer a descent and a fall to the bottom of hell. However, still can keep them and do not suffer any falls. This is why they always seek reason to support their work in order not to fail in this reason, which is called torrent. There is power in the above mentioned thatch, as we say, to take refuge from and torrent. This settles the questions, and may we be rewarded with the shadow of faith in order to understand the matter more clearly. I will copy for you an article from a letter of Bassam for you to delve in and nourish your souls. These are his words. And by the way, I will clarify to you the meaning of the charity for the poor, which is so praised in the Tsar. 5 corrections of the said, and by our sages, there is an organ in man with which it is forbidden to work, even if the smallest of the small desire to work with it still exists in man. That organ remains afflicted and stricken by the Creator. It is called poor, for its entire sustenance and provision are by others working for it and pitying it. This is the meaning of the words. Anyone who sustains a single soul from Israel, it is as though he sustains an entire world. Since the organ depends on others, it has no more than its own sustenance, and still the Creator regards it as though he sustained an entire world. That this itself is the entire blessing of the world, and everything in it multiplied and completed solely by the force of that poor soul, which is sustained by the work of other organs. This is the meaning of, and he took him outside and said, now look toward the heavens, and he believed in the Lord and reckoned it to him as righteousness. That is, by taking it outside, there was some desire to work with this organ. This is why he forbade him the work. This is why it was said, now look toward the heavens. At the same time, he was given the promise of the blessing of the seed. These are to amount to 2 opposites in the same subject, since all his seed, which is to be blessed, necessarily comes from this organ. Thus, when he is not working, how will he find a seed? This is the meaning of, and he believed in the Lord, meaning that he accepted those 2 receptions as they were both a complete prohibition on the work and the promise of the blessing of the seed. And how did he receive them? By this is why he concludes, and he reckoned it to him as righteousness, meaning as the form of charity. Starker means both charity and righteousness for a poor person who is sustained by the work of others. This is the meaning of the 2 sayings of our sages. One person thought that the Creator would treat him with righteousness, meaning keep and sustain him without work, and one thought that Abraham would act with righteousness toward the Creator. Both are the words of the living God, for prior to the correction the organ is in Heaven and the charity is counted for. Him is counted for the lower one at the end of his correction. It is achievable, and then the is counted for the upper one. Know that sanctity, for it is true. Thus for his words I ask that each of you will write to me the meaning of the above words of Basim, for it is a wonderful article. And now let us arrange the work of the winter, which is the time of working during the long nights. Thus far I have been speaking from the perspective of the left, called the left rejects this, requires a lot of work and toil to overcome all the obstacles and the alien views and thoughts. However, we should also engage in the right, as our sages said, make your tar teaching permanent and your work temporary. T is regarded as right, which is wholeness. A person should regard himself perfect with virtues and noble qualities. He should adapt the works of an anger as is suitable for a whole person as much as one can. However, one must not regret if one is unable to complete one's will. That is, if a person wishes to do plentiful good deeds and study of Torah, but cannot, he should not regret it, but be happy while working in the right. He should be content with whatever he can do and praise and thank his name for being able to do a small service to the king. Even a minute a day or a minute in 2 days should be to him like finding a great treasure. And even if it is a simple deed, meaning without vitality, he should still try to be happy and derive vitality from being allowed to serve the king. This is how he should be during the study, meaning hold this is regarded as to which is right, as it is written, on his right was a fiery law. For every opportunity one must praise the Creator. I heard from Anne that with the praise and gratitude one gives to the Creator for nearing the Creator, one draws the light of his holiness below. A person should feel hold, and then he is regarded as blessed, and the blessed clings to the blessed. But when a person regards himself as cursed, the cursed does not cling to the cursed, as our sages said. Therefore you must regard yourselves as whole while performing Torah and mit commandments. At that time you must not find any flaw in you, as it is written, anyone in whom there is a flaw shall not approach. This is called Torah, meaning wholeness, but only Torah is also not good. As our sages said, he who engages only in Torah, it is as though he is no God, as it is said, and many days to Israel without a true God days is regarded as wholeness, meaning Torah. Many means that he engages only in tar, and then he is without a true God. It is so because in the left specifically this work guides on the path of truth. This is the meaning of it is good to study Torah together with conducts, for toiling in both mitigates iniquity, and any Torah without work is eventually annulled and induces iniquity. You might ask, why does Torah alone not mitigate, but also induce iniquity? The reason is that if we do not walk on the path of truth, we remain as if they are not rewarded a portion of death, and that work discerned as the kingdom of heaven. Only this discernment is regarded as work and labor. This is why our sages said that specifically toiling in both mitigates iniquity, but do little work and plentiful study make your Torah permanent and your work temporary, because most of the day a person must work on the right, and a little bit of the day in the work of purity in mind and heart. I will end my letter with hope that we will be rewarded with eternal with his name. Shalom, son of Bam. Rain is something that sustains the land, because people who are still are not nourished except only from reason. And then he continues, those who want to be vegetative must not accept reason as support, and if a person fails and take support from reason, he immediately gets a descent and the fall to the bottom of hell. There's a distinction here between work, the work of the steel, and the work of the vegetative, that they must not settle for something on the level of steel. What does it mean to take this reason in support at? If you reach to the vegetative degree, meaning you have to rise to that degree, not remain in the inanimate degree. The difference between remaining as still or as vegetative means settle for Reason, what does it mean that I settle? For a reason, for some reason. When you rise from the previous reason and you rise to another degree, I have to think about it. Okay, thank you very much. Talks about the prayer in the Su, which is taking refuge from rain and torrent. What's special about this prayer in the Sukkah? Because yesterday at the noon lesson you told us that I have to keep within me all the waste and raise them for commandment. So what is this? Act, the action in the Sukkah, the prayer in the, it's like a prayer in the temple. One resembles the other, and that's how we need to relate. This prayer, we said the thatch is building the screen. What's so special about the prayer? That when you build the screen, 'cause you feel it, because in the end the Creator gives us the screen. But how? By overcoming this waste. How does the prayer help us get stronger in the screen? Because we assemble together according to the commandments of the Creator, meaning the state he suggests we enter for a while, let's say for time of prayer for a few hours. This state resembles the of the Creator, meaning the state he suggests we speak. Thank you very much. Can yes, okay. There's a whole description there of an organ that's called poor, that you can't work with it, only the other organs work for him, and thanks to it his seed is blessed. What is this whole description? What is it about? That there is a certain action. There's a certain action we should not take because it's not qualified yet, and one who heeds this warning and doesn't work with it receives a reward. Is this an act that's revealed at a certain stage to a person's state? Yet specifically when he works on the correction, that the one that's written we need to perform during the, and what is all this look toward? The heaven. There's a whole description there of how to work with that state. I don't know. Yet I didn't feel this question, and this odious rain is something that sustains the land, because people who are still are not nourished except only from reason, and then it continues. Those who want to be vegetative must not accept reason as support, and if a person fails and take support from reason immediately, and if a person fails accept reason as support, we want to achieve attainment, achieve something very, very great, and he tells you that it's enough to be content with very little actions, as if you've gained a great treasure. Why is it like that? Because you're already in a few of those small actions. When you're doing it, you're working in wholeness, you are touching it, you are approaching it. Sometimes we feel on the path that we are able to do something, we have opportunities and also the ability, but in practice we do little, so that creates a feeling that you're missing out, you're not okay, you're not doing enough. Is that feeling incorrect according to what he writes here? But here we're saying that the Creator opens up the connection with him, with the person, and the person accordingly sees his state, in which degree is in which process, how near or far he is from carrying out the desire of the Creator in full. So the approach of that person on the path should be that if I can lift 1 gram, that's what I was given from above, I'll lift this gram, because that's what I can do right now. And additionally, you see how much you could be doing if the conditions were different. Exactly. Now I want to take it to the 10 regarding relation to the friends. We often see friends look and say, wait a minute, he can do a lot more, he can come more to the lessons, he can do this, that, and then we are on the left line, we are critical of them. So here too we need to see, let's say I look at a friend and I think he can do more, or he comes very little, so should I come at every time? I should look at every time he comes to something very great. Yes, you have to hope that each one is doing as much as they can. Thank you, he says twice in the beginning of the article, that all the questions in reality are corrected in the Su. In the beginning too he said the festival of Sukkot answers all the questions, even the hardest and worst. What is it about the Sukkot that all the questions and all the problems are answered in the Sukkot? Because you have all the tools, instruments, which is the waste of the barnyard and winery, and also all the opportunities to take care of these instruments in order to establish the Sukkar in wholeness it say of all the problems and issues a person can't understand within reason you can accept them above reason. Is this why it's everything I mean you either resolve something within reason, or even if not go above reason there, you'll find the answers to the difficult question is those who want to be vegetative must not only from reason, and then it continues those who want to be vegetative must not accept reason as support. And if a person fails and takes a port from reason, he immediately gets a descent and the fall to the bottom of hell. He immediately gets a descent and the fall to the bottom of hell. There's a distinction here between the work of the steel, and the work of the vegetative, that they must not settle for something on a level of steel. What does it mean to take this reason and support that if you reach to the vegetative degree, meaning you have to rise to that degree, not remain in the inanimate degree. The difference between remaining as still or is vegetative means settle for reason. What does it mean that I settle for a reason, for some reason? When you rise from the previous reason and you rise to another degree, I have to think about it. Okay, thank you very much. He talks about the prayer in the Su, which is taking refuge from rain and torrent. What's special about this prayer in the Sukkar? Because yesterday at the noon lesson you told us that I have to keep within me all the waste and raise them for commandment. So what is this act? The action in the Sukkar, the prayer in the Sukkar, it's like a prayer in the temple. Sure, one resembles the other, and that's how we need to relate to this prayer. We said the thatch is building the screen. What's so special about the prayer? That when you build the screen, because you feel it, 'cause in the end the Creator gives us the screen. But how? By overcoming this waste. How does the prayer help us get stronger in the screen? Because we assemble together according to the commandments of the Creator, meaning the state he suggests we enter for a while, let's say for time of prayer for a few hours. This state resembles the general state of nature, the beginning of the Sukkot, let's say the festival of Sukkot, and that is why we need to accept it with joy and with confidence that we're doing something right and do it. Last question, with your permission, is got a matter of time or a state? I stayed on the path. No, it's a matter of time. So what's special about this time I can? So what's special about this time that I can receive? There, I can't tell you what's special about it. That's what the Creator decided. It's during these times. Once the Creed decided it's during these times once a year. When the Creed decided it during these times, one see here that we need to perform such and such actions. Thank you very much. Ken, okay. There's a whole description there of an organ that's called poor, that you can't work with it, only the other organs work. It's called poor that you can't work with it, only the other organs work for him, and thanks to it his seed is blessed. What is this whole description? What is it about? That there is a certain action, there's a certain action we should not take because it's not qualified yet. And one who heeds this warning and doesn't work with it receives a reward. Is this an act that's revealed at a certain stage to a person state? Yes, specifically when he works onto a person state. Yes, specifically when he works on the correction state. Yes, specifically when he works on the correction, the one that's written that we need to perform during the SU. And what is all this? Look toward the heaven. There is a whole description there of how to work with that state toward the heaven. There's a whole, and what is all this? Look toward the heaven. There's a whole description there of how to work with that state. I don't know yet. I didn't feel that this question and this order is rising in me and is required. He should not regret if he cannot complete his desire many, if he has a desire to do many good deeds, and should not regret if he cannot complete his desire many, if he has a desire to do many good deeds and study to all, but he can't. You should not regret it, but be happy during the work of the right, and whatever he can do, we should be happy with this share and thank his name for being able to do the smallest service to the king, given a minute a day or a minute in 2 days, it should be to him like finding given a minute a day or a minute in 2 days, it should be to him like finding a great treasure. Okay, yes, the description of the work on the right, finding a great treasure. Yes, the description of the work on the right, like finding a great treasure. Yes, the description of the work on the right. So if we go to our world, I want to be, I don't know, some big CEO or something. I have to do many great things in order to come to it. And here it tells you we want any great things in order to come to it. And here it tells you we want to achieve attainment. Achieve something very, very great. And he tells you that it's enough to be content with very little actions, as if you've gained a great treasure. Why is it like that? Because you're already in a few of those small actions. When you're doing it, you're working in wholeness. You are touching it, you are approaching it. Sometimes we feel on the path that we are able to do something, we have opportunities and also the ability, but in practice, we don't do, or we do little, so that creates a feeling that you're missing out. You're not okay, you're not doing enough. Is that feeling incorrect? According to what he writes here, yeah, but here we are saying that the Creator opens up the connection with him, with the person, and the person accordingly sees his state, in which degree he is in which process, how near or far he is from carrying out the desire of the Creator in full. So the approach of that person on the path should be that if I can lift 1 gram, that's what I was given from above, I'll lift this gram because that's what I can do right now. And additionally, you see how much you could be doing if the conditions were different. Exactly. Now I want to take it to the 10 regarding relation to the friend. We often see friends look and say, wait a minute, he can do a lot more, he can come more often. See friends look and say, wait a minute, he can do a lot more, he can come more to the lessons, he can do this, that, and then we are on the left line, we are critical of them. So here too we need to see, let's say I look at a friend and I think he can do more, he comes very little, so should I come at every time? I should look at every time he comes to something very great. Yes, you have to hope that each one is doing as much as they can. Thank you, he says twice in the beginning of the article that all the questions in reality are corrected in the Sukkah. In the beginning too, he said. In the beginning too, he said. At the festival of Sukkot answers all the questions, even the hardest and worst. What is it about that all the questions and all the problems are? What is it about that all the questions and all the problems are answered in the Sukkah? Because you have all the tools, instruments, which is the waste of the bar of all the tools, instruments, which is the waste of the barnyard and winery, and also all the opportunities to take care of these instruments in order to establish the Su in wholeness. It say of all the problems and issues a person can't understand within reason, you can accept them above reason. Is this why it's everything? Are you either resolve something within reason, or even if not go above reason, there you'll find the answers to the difficult questions. Let's see, it's also the matter of with joy, and have to go together over with joy, and far have to go. It's also the matter of a, let's say it's also the matter of a with joy and faith have to go together. From where does joy come here? What's the great joy? It's written about the festival of Sukkot should be happy, and it's true great gladness. Joy from what? Joy from coming to attention with the Torah through our actions. We would do them in concealment. In revelation, we are grateful to the Creator for giving us the festival of Sukkot, where we can incorporate in certain actions and reach the complete attention are the actions to go with faith above reason, not only in whatever we need to do during this festival. You need to sit in the Sukkah, you need to eat, you need to drink, to make the blessings, all sorts of things. How do these activities help me? I don't know how they help, but I'm certain they help because there's a commandment for us to keep them, and with this commandment we have to go above reason to keep them, to observe them. Yes, you need to be about reason Okay, thank you if I understand correctly. The Creator gives both the sun and the shade if I understand correctly. Thank you if I understand correctly. The Creator gives both the sun and the shade, yes, and a person's. Thank you if I understand correctly. The Creator gives both the sun and the shade, yes, and a person's reaction if the Creator gives the sun meaning some. The elimination awakening the reaction the person is to add shade to it, he says. It's a must otherwise that causes iniquities and stuff. Yes, and the reaction, what should a person's reaction be if he gets shade? He uses what he received, then he gets the waste of bar and winery, and that's, yes. Why if I sit in a sue with waste of bar, and why with waste of bar and way alien thoughts and all those things under a screen for a week, why does it help my spiritual advancement? The answer should be that I don't know, but it's a desire, the will of the Creator who arranged the forces of nature in such a way that a person can use them in such instances, meaning in such time and motion and place he can connect with other people and with the Creator and see how much he's, to what extent he's connected with godliness, and bless with how much he's, to what extent he's connected with godliness, and bless with all his vessels for that. But what I don't understand is why the sitting with foreign thoughts, because he writes here that during the work on the work of Tar you have to constantly be happy with your share and be thankful for every nearing, even if nearing is seemingly negative from the Creator. It's the Creator calling him, so it's constantly hap with at work. But here he describes in the something I don't understand, sitting together with foreign thoughts under the thatch, meaning under some resistance to these foreign thoughts, and just be with them for a week. What is this work? This is the work of scrutiny. During this state where a person raises himself to the sukha, here too he needs to perform the work of sorting and scrutiny, scrutinizing, and where he is in connection with it and continue his advancement towards the Creator. Is it a matter of recognition of evil to understand where he's far, where he's near? He scrutinizes it on recognition of evil to understand where he's far, where is near. He scrutinizes, is it on the way? All right, happy holiday, everyone. Yes, it's a great holiday. We don't quite understand it yet, but it's a great holiday, extremely special. First of all, about that, what is very special, very great, very joyful in this holiday? In this holiday we discover the connection of all the people with their Creator. We bless him and he accepts our blessing and creates the right connection between us and elevates us to the degree of the end of correction. All the people, or only the Kabbalist? No, all the people, only the Kabbalist? No, Kabbalist, simple Jews, and the nations of the world. To each and everyone there is a room or a place to thank the Creator for the ascent he gives them on the holiday of Sukkot, even if a person is not aware of it. Well, is not aware, it's like it's the same as him not being aware on a different holiday. It's the same as he not being aware on a different holiday. Sak is that internal spiritual state of person goes through along the way, or is this something that happens with the upper one? It's an internal state of a person that happens to him at a certain date in this world, together with other people who are in the same attainment feeling. Yes, so what is special during that time? How can we use it more? How can you use this time to approach the Creator even more? Only to learn study materials that are connected. I want to ask about what he wrote. Here, right, a person should say with his mouth that everything that is happening in the world, that there are people who suffer and are mistreated, is only so that I can receive the good, meaning to keep faith. Yes, can you explain that maybe a little? There are many people who are suffering even on the holiday of Sukkot, so person should say that suffering, that people suffer a little bit this way, that way, all times. Think opposite, at he was rewarded with receiving a for strength are good, and he is willing to convey to them to pass his goodness on to them so they will feel these things opposite the evil. And how do I pass the good to them? How by what in what way do I pass the good to the people who suffer? Where, what using, what by what do I convey to them? I don't know well. Through connection, through incorporation, through prayer I see people suffer. Yes, what do I need to do now with their suffering? From that point, how to use the suffering of the people, the nation, the world correctly use so that through the suffering that they feel that they will receive, they will learn the right actions by which they can neutralize the suffering and transform it into reception of pleasures. Is it their suffering or is it mine that I see it? No, it's theirs. So how does it bring a person to the quality of faith? Faith comes afterwards. Faith comes afterwards. It's a force that after a person arranges, equalizes himself with others, he finds there a place for faith as well has to add faith. There a place for faith as well has to add faith. Said a person must say with the mouth that everything that is happening in the world, that there are people who suffer and are mistreated, is only so that I can receive the good me. You need to keep the faith. Well, that's incidental. It's not a general law, meaning they don't suffer so that I will reach faith. Perhaps some of them do. That's how the system works. Part is suffering. The system works out of its wholeness, which is that it is one, and then when you take each part individually, something happens in it that's suitable for that part at a certain time, at a certain state. So when I see a part in the system that is suffering, and I see it, what does it say about me, about my part in the system? That you were incorporated with a part that suffers above and then, and you have to correct it. So can that's it. Yes, shalom raraim. To overcome the foreign thoughts, does that mean to walk on the left? Like overcoming foreign thoughts means that I'm walking on the right line. To be incorporated with the foreign thoughts might be left, but walking on it meaning correcting, then that's already right. If I correct, it's the right. If I incorporate, it's the left. Yes, thank you. Throughout the entire letter, the Rash says that you can build the thatch roof, the screen only from the waste of a barnyard, and W only from that waste. We talked about it yesterday, but I wanted to ask what exactly is this waste that Rabash refers to in the letter. G. Wine ban and winery, that's clear to us. These are places from which we get food, and in making the food we always also see that we have some waste left. So from that waste of ban and winery we also can get some profit. Let's put it this way, spiritual one, if I relate correctly to let's put it this way, spiritual one, if I relate correctly to everything I do in this world, and therefore I justify the Creator for anything he does that is good, and also for all the things that seemingly turn out bad, seemingly meaning for the soul 100% of the work of the Creator in my eyes that he created for me. The waste and ban and winery, the waste and ban and winery, I can say that I am thankful to him, and I accept it 100%, completely, very and then the Creator is whole in my eyes, nature is whole, etc. That's it relates to my attitude to the Creator. Wait, yes, of course. When I do this, I create it when I engage in processing the ban and winery, meaning my attitude toward the I relate to the Creator is called waste, and the main work during the no, not my relationship excuse me, my attitude toward what the Creator reveals to me is that correct. What I discover in my work in nearing the Creator, that work is the work of the Creator, but a part of it I discover as waste, and that specific portion I need to raise and turn it into thatched roof. Yes, what does it mean to raise, to lift it and make it into a screen? What is, yes, what does it mean to raise, to lift it and make it into a screen? What is this action to turn it above reason into something holy, that I, with a part of what I dealt with, I can turn it into bread and wine, and a part that I couldn't turn into bread and wine, I turn it into a cover, meaning even though I cannot accept it. Using the same metaphor, I can't eat it. All I have to turn it into something important. Using the same metaphor, I can't eat it. No, I have to turn it into something important. I accept it anyhow. This way, right? I don't throw it out in my eyes. It's not it's not redundant. This, it's not a shell. This is called the building of faith. That's what he's talking about. Yes, so what I do in this, because I used the waste, right? From what I used to build the walls, it is all waste, but I elevated it into usefulness and to use. Not that I need it, but the Creator told me to do this. If we try to connect it to the stage we are in, what is the parallel of the waste on the level of our work? What is the waste of our work today in the 10 things I cannot use for holiness? But in the case of a Suo, there's hardly any waste. I use everything that comes to me from the field, and I elevate all of it on the roof above my head. Meaning also in our work there are all kinds of states where things lose importance in mind. I don't know how to use them, or things lose importance in mind, or I don't know how to use them. Yes, usually I don't know how to use states or things lose importance in mind, or I don't know how to use them. Yes, usually, but if I do it, I do this special work according to the command of the Creator. It becomes holy work, for example, raising importance for things that were previously not important to friends, raising importance for things that were previously not important to friends. Yes, I built AAR, you walk into. When I build a Su, you walk into Su. When you walk into the sore, you walk outside. You kiss this, the thatch, the way it is. More thank you continue. What is what kind of waste do you throw out and don't use, and which waste you raise above your head in importance from this waste of bar and winery? You use everything, and what you can't use, absolutely this, you throw away, and even if you throw it away, you bury it in some special place. Can a person make the distinction? Because, and initially, there are things that look like waste, total waste. He gives the example of the poor, that upon looking at him, he has out hand, he looks despicable. On the other hand, he sustains the world, so he can't distinct. Make this, you don't need to distinguish, you need to relate to it. To begin with, as something holy. How can you look at everything is holy when you see a poor person with an outstretched hand? You disparage him. He looks like he lives at the expense of everyone. Why doesn't he get a job? You don't see anything holy about him. You need to correct yourself, so only after the correction will you be able to. You don't need to do it later. Now, before you approach the poor one, you have to already be corrected, and that you accept them correctly. What kind of preparation? Action. Let's say I'm not corrected. How to approach the world in a more corrected way, to use everything on my path in a more corrected way. By the poor one is doing you a favor. He's showing you a part of the work that you cannot do. The fact that you give him what belongs to the poor, it's to his merit. So I have to walk with the idea that I have to turn everything to a thatch. I have to use it, yet that by this you cover something. He writes that the Torah on its own is also not good, as are said. He who engages in the Torah alone is like someone without a God. Contend, they say, that the study of T is good, with path of what is the exertion, the Torah, and the X. What is the exertion, the Torah, and the exertion of the path of the land? What is the exertion, the Torah, and the exertion of the path of the land? To put it simply, labor in it when you labor to solve all kinds of problems and questions, and in the way of the land in the midway, so to speak. It sits when you do it through the general core connection between all the people. Labor in the Torah means our effort to solve things using the reforming life, right? The prayer. Yes, if you can explain what is the exertion through the desire, but whomever person, when a person participates in this in the world today, if we do it in a real way, certainly there's no death. It's truly like That's so what are we missing in order to move things like here, saying to believe that that is truly what we can do is that like you said like the preparation for this we need to come ready to move things world yes meaning that's the solution I didn't want to ask but we too believe that that is truly what we can do is that like you said like that we've finished with this part yes. Daddy I want to continue this line of about the people of Israel lately there was several killings of these terrorist heads. Why does the Creator do this for Israel? Why is he helping us here? It's unknown how much he's helping in general. How is helping that for sure, but which each and every one of these eliminations where really soon they won't have any enemies leaders for them. Yes, they won't have any leaders. Yes, but what good is he doing? Why is he giving a favor to us? He's like giving us a favor here, like you can see it. Yes, in the meantime, that's how it seems. Is this so that the world will see that there is providence over this land of these people? You cannot say this way or that way it is. I like it, it hits in all directions. You really cannot say, does the world feel that there is God amongst Israel? That's the problem, that the world feels it more than we do. What do they feel? They feel that it's working out for USS. Why does it work out for us? They don't know. Okay, and when will the people of Israel start to feel God within us? When it will subjugate itself. Israel needs to very quickly subjugate itself. Why should it subjugate? Things are working out for them. That's called that it's working out for itself. What that they killed the few Arabs, few Gentiles. What does it mean that it's working out? It works out if we can connect with the Creator, that will make some act in partnership with him. And what do the people of Israel need? The Creator. What do the people of Israel need? The Creator. For what does Israel need the Creator today in order to exist? In order to exist. And what is to subjugate ourselves before the Creator? What is a nation that subjugates itself before their God? Him. We need to subjugate ourselves toward our Creator. It is an outcome of the entire study of the Torah. However, after all, enemies will continue to rise. The Creator won't let them rest. He will awaken them to arise more and more. If you see them in such anger toward us, so yes, and our power right now is with weaponry, with arsenal, with more. Our power is in the extent to which we can subjugate ourselves toward the Creator. What will cause us to subjugate ourselves? That's already intellect. And where will that intellect come from? From above. From above. So until then, what we'll wait for? Inspiration. Until then we will get blows. And do you see a good future for Israel in the near future? Let's say these eliminations, do they point in a good way towards Israel in the near future? I'm not so certain. I'm not so certain. I would like to say yes, but to have that confidence I don't have that. The spiritual advancement of the people would always upon some physical difficulty, existential crisis. Will we always be in that strain? Yes, there's no other more comfortable way to advance. That's the form of our advancement of Israel. Yes, that's the form of development of Israel. And how can you relieve some this state? Relieve only in that you go with an open heart toward the nations of the world. What does that mean? If you could expand on it, but then you wish to connect with all the Jews and through them with all the nations of the world. Last question. Why do you say that you have no confidence about the good future? With Israel there is confidence, but not to the extent in which the people think the nation thinks, where we think that we're already in the heart of the Creator. And what's our role herein? Our role is solely and that we show everyone what is our God, who is our God, and how we need to serve him. Thank you can. Gilad, what's with you? Yes, Gilad. I want to stand on one point, because all the years I've studied here I learned not to connect between our work and some results in the corporal world. Yes, and here we see a case where something happens, we do something, and all of a sudden something happens. What's the correct attitude to such things? We are coming closer to days in which the connections between spirituality and corporality will be much closer, much more adjacent, connected, so sometimes we can speak this way, so make it even more difficulty. Yesterday was not so big in the news, but yesterday 5 of our elite soldiers died in Lebanon, so was is that also because of us, just like Sinya was killed. Certainly so, we shouldn't be so happy. Right, altogether do we have a possibility to connect between things. Today to say this is because of that. This is because of that, that cause. Consequence we still cannot, but somehow there are so many situations where it seems to us that yes, it is possible. Okay guys, I really don't want to speak about these things all the time. Okay, what are we studying next? We have study material on the topic of Sukkot. From the excerpts from the sources. Where is that? We're in excerpt number 11. The heading is Sukkah is a temporary residence. Hi. We are in our social time as we study together, and as you saw from the transition, we are going to be reading in Zohar for all. We will be reading from Zohar for all volume 3-2 portion. The article is for species. You can find the study material in and through them. You can also address questions before we start reading. We want to watch a clip from RAV on the topic of the influence of the light that will prepare us for the so please before this study clip, when we aim ourselves at the connection between us to reveal the form of connection between us that is called the Creator, which is mutual. Don't do to your friend what you yourself hate. If we reveal that connection between us, so then we reach the quality of Boehner. If we reveal love thy friend as thyself, so then we reach the quality of to the upper in their completeness, which rise to the gar of ought meaning, but all revealed in the connection between us. Okay, from bestow and order to bestow, between us and to receiving an order to bestow, that's all in the service between us reveals in that network, and the force that dwells in our connection is the upper force, because it cannot dress itself or express itself in any other place. That is called the two. The extent in which I'm good to others, I also reveal the Creator as good between us. So we need to understand that what we read, that text comes to us through two manners, in concealment and revelation. Therefore we need to check time again whether that text does not conceal from me the form by which I need to be in connection between everyone. To reveal the form of connection between us, the text needs to be in the background of this picture. It needs to bring me the light that is dwelling there within, meaning before me is that network of connection between us, and after it that same text which brings that network in illumination and reforms it. It gives that network a form and expression of bestow, where then that form becomes the image of the Creator. Therefore that same connection between, which is called mal, is called the image of the Creator. It receives gradually all the revelations and all those 125 steps that we need to go through, they all become revealed in mal. We don't rise above from mal up, but together with it we seemingly rise to. And so we are reading in Zohar for all, volume 3, portion, the article for species, item 210. Come and see how important are the works of the Holy King and the deeds that are done below. They tie them with the high things above in their root, since anything below in this world has its root above in the upper worlds, and when they are taken down and worked with the ACT above, awakens corresponding to them in the roots in the upper worlds, like their hip, the cedar, which the Torah instructs to take to the purifier. 2011. Some of them grip to the holy name above, such as El Lulav, the palm branch, cedar's myrtle, and the ARA willow. Hence they need to be united and bound together, and work must be done with them to shake them so as to evoke joy in the root which is gripped to it above. In the blessing of the mitzvah and in the act of the mitzvah, it is necessary to show in the thing below to thus evoke the thing above its upper root. 212. It is written about it, everyone that is called by my name, and whom I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as a spice for my glory, so that I will be respected whom I have created to unify me. I have formed him to do good deeds unto me, and I have made him to evoke the upper force. Through it. 213 It is written, and on the first day, you shall take for yourself fruit of a citrus tree, palm branches, and boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook. Every one that is called by my name is the fruit of a citrus tree. Whom I have created for my glory is palm branches. Whom I have created is the boughs of leafy trees. I have made him is the willows of the brook. The roots of the four species are the four worlds. Abia the citron correspond to the world. The Ort it is written about it, everyone that is called by my name, since they is called name. The palm branches correspond to the world of Briar. It is written about it whom I have created in my glory. The bough of a leafy tree corresponds to the world of Y, and it is written about it I have formed him. The willows of the brook correspond to the world of Aia, and it is written about them I have made him. 24 The correction is as it is written. And on the first day you shall take for yourselves precisely 5/10, since the 15th of the month shows that the nuker the 10th implies in the number 10 implied in the number 10 rows and is included in Ima, which is discerned in the number 5, since she contains within her 5, each of which consists of 10, and when those 5 of B shine in nuka is called the 15th of the month. At that time the moon, which is the nuker, is in its complete fullness. 215 On the first day is the day that was the first to journey to the sources of living waters, the first of the 3 lines which travel in 3 places from there, journeying, that are disclosed and come out, and they are called living waters. The right line travels first, and we need to draw it in the world, because is the time of drawing, as it is written, and his right hand shall embrace me. 216 There is an allegory about a king who imprisoned people in his prison. His mother, the mistress, came and freed them. The king, who was watchful of her honor, gave them to her authority, and she found them hungry and thirsty. She said to her son the king, I brought them to freedom, give them food and drink. 217 On why the day of atonement Ima Biner brought everyone out to freedom, and we are hungry for food and thirsty for drink, since corporeal eating and drinking are not extended from Biner, hence we fast and torment on. For this reason she crowns the king and the son of Biner with his crowns. On this day, the first in the festival, we know that living waters are with her, and we seek to drink to the one who brought us out to freedom. So she imparts upon on our behalf after we have been rewarded with from her on why, which is freedom. This is why we call this day the first day, or Sunday. 218 That day, which implies to Abraham, the Of is the beginning of everything. If the beginning is in clouds of glory, it is surrounding lights, for the surrounding light is the first one. If the beginning is in water, it is inner light, for the first inner light is. This is why Abraham began to dig wells of water. 219 The fruit of a citrus tree is Isaac's well, a nuker, which is called a well when she receives from the left line of sin, called Isaac. Isaac adorned the Creator and called him a citrus in Hebrew, which also means glory. Tree, the nuker, is the fruit of this citrus. 3 palm branches are as it is written, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. Yes, it is righteous, and there is no separation between. And this is why it does not write capot, but cut. Palm branches are bound from the words tied and bound, since they are never one without the other, and are always tied together by that. The well in V is filled with the well of upper living waters. Frun Biner sense is filled by first, and by and from that the well is filled until it becomes a spring for all. 220 And boughs of leafy trees, this is a branch of the great tree earth, which prevailed and struck roots and became a tree that is higher than all, gripped from all sides, meaning which contains all. 6 Which grip it from all its sides. The branch is a leafy tree, a tree that grips the patriarchs, because it is the mid line which contains the right and left. Within it, Abraham and Isaac are leafy is like Aot, fathers since the and Al. Interchange this is so because they of the world the foundation of the world, from and is filled so as to bestow upon the well the nuker a land that is all. Drink since the wind the receives from, she is called a land that is all. Drink. 221 willows of the brook are two which imply to two streams of water and H in which the waters gather. For bestowing upon the righteous, yes who receives from N willows of the brook, are which cling to Isaac the left line and come from the side of the upper stream, IMA, and not from the side of ABA the right line. For this reason the willows are all beautiful, but they are not as sweet as their fruits and do not bear fruit. This is so because the judgments of the left are abundant, and it does not bear fruit even though it is beautiful. Meaning there is in it because beauty applies to, hence it is implied in the willows of the brook which are beautiful and do not bear fruit. 222 willows of the brook are two pillars, on which the body the goof stands, meaning and H also willows of the brook are that are extended from the left line. These continue in these N, and they are all to bestow water upon the well, to bestow upon the NVA. 223 You shall take for yourselves the fruit of a citrus tree is Abraham, palm branches are Isaac, and boughs of leafy trees are Jacob. Deaf and willows of the brook are the two degrees N and H. 224 We learn that the fruit of a citrus tree is Abraham, and the palm branches are Isaac. This is so because the leafy tree is Jacob, who holds all parts, meaning that all 6 edges of are included in it, which is why he is called leafy tree. Certainly it is Jacob, but the fruit of a citrus tree is Isaac's. Well, the lower Nugget writes Cabot palm branches as Sifat tied without a V, meaning that it is a knot that is tied in the well. It is said about that they are tied in their ties and do not rise without each other. This branch of a leafy tree is the upper branch which became a leafy tree that grips to each side. The whole of that is the goof, the body as and are its arms and are its legs is the holy covenant. Willows of the brook are Isaac, on each side which grips to the side of the stream, IMA, and not from the side of ABA, even though there are no judgments in the stream Beaner, hence the judgments or fern there. 225 Willows of the brook are two pillars, and the water comes out from them, and thus there are 2 degrees, and standing on the degree of righteous yod and fruits, and the collection of blessings come out from them. But willows of the brook which imply to as well neither fruit nor scent comes out of them. Willows of the brook imply and except they receive of Isaac from the left line, from the left side, hence they do not bear fruit because there are judgments on them. But when they receive thee as well, all the blessings in the world come from them. 226 This is why a citron is held with the left hand opposite the heart, and the palm branch with the right bound with the rest of the species, and tied to all of them. This is so because a righteous is bound with all the and tied to all of them. This is the tie of faith to illuminate the nuker called faith. 227 All of those 4 species are the guests. They are the 7 that the holy people invited on this day as we pray during the days of Sukkot, prior to the meal, and say, come you high guest. They must be found because he invited them, and one prays the prayer to the king in them, and he attains them through the 4 species which imply to these happy are Israel, who know the ways of the holy king, and know the ways of Torah, to walk in the path of truth, and by which to be rewarded with this world and with the next world. 228 On this day Israel come out with written signs from the king, the 4 species, because they were triumphant in where judgment. These are the signs of faith, through which the high king's Anan signs. It is like 2 people who came before the king to be sentenced, and people did not know which of them. One a minister came out of the king's house, and they asked him. He told them, the one who leaves the king's house with marks of the king in his hands is the triumphant one. 229 All the people in the world come to be sentenced before for the high king. He sentences them on the day of and yip until the 15th of the month. During that time all of Israel are rewarded with repentance and labor in building the sukkah in the palm branch and the citron, and it is not known who won the judgment. High angels ask who won the judgment, and the Creator tells them, those who hold my signs in their hands. The 4 species have won the judgment. 230 On that day Israel come out in the inscription of the king with a song of prayer. Praise. They enter the sukkah with a citron on the left and a palm branch on the right, and everyone sees that Israel are inscribed in the list of the holy king, and they open and say, happy is the people for whom this is so. 231 Even the nations of the world rejoice in this joy and are blessed by it. Hence they offer sacrifices on them each day to place peace upon them, and they will be blessed from it henceforth. One day of the high king, in which the people of Israel rejoice, as it is written, on the 8th day you shall have a festive assembly, since this day is only from the king whose joy is in Israel. It is like a king who invited guests, and all those in his palace toiled with them for them. In the end the king said to the people in his palace, thus far you and I have all labored over their guests, and made sacrifices over all the other nations each day 70 bulls. Henceforth you and I rejoice one day, as it is written, on the 8th day you shall have a festive assembly, you to offer his sacrifice for you. Rob's clip, and we will continue. We spoke about that in which the spiritual CLE is a common CLE where everyone anals themselves toward their group, that is, instead of analing themselves toward their Creator, seemingly that it is the infrastructure through which if I enter that infrastructure or template, it's a sign that I am worthy of the influence of the upper force upon me. Right, it's like there's a certain place where there is a certain form, and if I enter that form or shape, then I am worthy of the influence of the light. I need to insert myself into that shape. Is that clear? This is some kind of material, and in that material there's a certain shape. I need to enter that into that shape. I need to fill it. If I feel it, I will be exactly in that same shape, and I feel it, so then the upper light influences me. So here is the group, and here is me, and I need to enter into the group. So we need to try to execute that action, and then the A light influences, and also acquiring that shape of the group, and also the influence of the light upon me that I am in it. The best time for that is during the reading of the Zohar, so let us think about that. So, and because we have come to the end of the lesson, let's do a summary together in the tens and sum up this special lesson we've been through, and we'll continue with our scheduled the me after that lesson. Summary in tens. Okay, the summary of mine is that we have an opportunity at every single moment to work in the 10, and through that to make a certain there vision between what we can work with and what we cannot work with. That entire topic of the waste of barn and winery, those things I feel that I cannot work with, so I need to raise them as a issue. Each lesson summary is how we can hold on to the common intention together, what power there is, and how we can change reality. When we gather here, we produce a force that we need to increase the importance. Everything comes from the Creator. All their problems come from the Creator, and through their problems the waste and in the will to receive for myself, the solution to the problem comes from the Creator, and our entire strength comes from the Cree to overcome all the problems, and at the end of it all we need to have gratitude and to become whole.